Today I want to address one of the biggest fears of emerging authors, which is you publish the book and story of your dreams and then no one buys it. What happens if no one buys your book? On my channel, I frequently talk about how to get published and offer insights for that process, but don't frequently talk about what happens after your book launch. If you publish your book and then no one buys it, you might feel really disheartened about your future as an author. You might be concerned that your publisher is going to drop you because you didn't reach their sales expectations. These concerns are totally valid. So today I want to provide some specific tips for what you can do tactically if your book doesn't sell as much as you expect or want it to. My intention here is that hopefully this alleviates some of the pressure you are putting on yourself in terms of your book sales and helps you feel more optimistic about the future of your writing career. And these tips are intended to apply to both self-published authors and traditionally published authors, no matter which publishing path you have chosen. If you are anywhere along the book writing or publishing journey, I recommend subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Every week, I either talk about the publishing industry or I give tips on how to strengthen your book manuscript, and I'd love to have you around. If you do have a work in progress currently, I recommend hopping into the description and grabbing my free story self-assessment. It is going to help you identify tactical ways to improve your manuscript and what specific elements you need to work on for your next draft. It's also going to sign you up for my newsletter where I provide exclusive insights and tips that are not available on my channel. So the first thing to keep in mind if your book doesn't sell as well as you'd hoped is that publishing is unpredictable. I know this doesn't necessarily alleviate the outcome, but it is the truth about the industry, whether you self-published or traditionally published. Oftentimes, it doesn't mean that your book is bad or that you did anything wrong. In many cases, the quality of the book is not the issue with the low sales. It's really just that the book hasn't found its readers for one reason or another. Even executives at major publishing houses, what we call the Big Five publishers, admit that publishing a book is highly unpredictable, and there is no formula that can tell you exactly what you can expect in terms of book sales reliably. No one knows for certain what makes a book take off and become a hit. And frankly, sometimes publishers spend a ton of marketing dollars pushing a book, doing ads, doing publicity, and then it really doesn't take off or sell as many as they wanted it to. Other times, they spend little on marketing a book and then it becomes a major bestseller. Reader appetites are always changing and are ultimately subjective. So it really is impossible to know for certain what's going to resonate with readers at any given moment when your book is published. What I want you to realize here is that a certain amount of the publishing process is in your control and some of it just isn't. There is an inherent unpredictability to the process, and knowing that hopefully helps you feel a little bit better about your book sales if they are lower than expected. Now I want to dive into some tactical things that you can do as an author if you fall into the category of your book not having as many sales as you wanted. The first is to audit your marketing and publicity efforts. Take a close, hard look at each individual effort you made to market and publicize your book and how it performed. Did you get reviews in media outlets? Did you have a social media campaign of some kind? Did you run ads? Did you do any author events or interviews? And what outcomes can you attribute to each of those efforts? Which ones worked and which ones didn't? If you self-published, it's likely that these efforts were things that you took on independently, or perhaps you hired a marketing or publicity service to help you out. And if you are traditionally published, then you would have a marketing and publicity team put together a plan for you. Once you've taken a look at what worked and what didn't, think about either leaning into one of those specific efforts that did help the book sales, or try something totally new. The good news is that there are always new avenues for marketing and publicity that you can do at any time after a book is launched. For instance, you could continue working on building your online presence and then pitching your book on your social media accounts. Or you could even host an event in your community. Indie bookstores often really want to promote local authors. And remember that you can always start small. Every sale counts. The next thing you can do if your book didn't sell is to iterate on the cover and the copy. Your book cover and the description copy that goes on the back cover, inside cover, and or the online description page are ultimately pieces of marketing collateral. Authors often get really hung up on the design of the cover and want it to have a specific artful impression. Some of you may have even started thinking up your cover even before the book was finished. But remember, at the end of the day, the cover needs to do its job which is to attract a specific readership to your book and make them want to purchase it. Otherwise, the cover is not effective and not doing what it's supposed to do. So if your book isn't selling as much as you want, see if it's possible to update or completely redesign your cover or revamp the copy that goes on the online description page of your book. A little known secret is that traditional publishers actually do this all the time. That's why you may have noticed that paperback editions of books often have a different cover than the hardcover. That happens especially if the hardcover didn't really sell as much as they wanted. They're gonna try something totally new for the paperback and see if that attracts more readers. Traditional publishers also frequently update the online description copy for a book, especially if there's a new review that comes in and they want to showcase that. Little things like that can actually grab readers' attention and make a difference in your book sales, so do that if that's an opportunity for you. Remember that the cover and the copy are critical to convincing a reader to buy your book. Even if your story is amazing, if those two elements aren't grabbing them and aren't getting their attention and drawing them in, it's unlikely they're going to buy your book. And you may ultimately be missing out on readers because of them. So don't be afraid to iterate, redesign, or revamp them if it is in your power to do so. My next tip for what to do if your book isn't selling is to engage with the readers who did find you. Even though your book didn't sell as many copies as you wanted, give attention and value the readers that did come to you and did like your book. You want to nurture those relationships because even though your readership might be small right now, they are really your day one readers. Just like I know I have some day one subscribers watching now. Those readers are likely going to be the first ones to buy your next book. So make sure that you appreciate them. Even though you might be disappointed overall with your book launch, don't forget the people who did buy your book. Some ways to foster relationships with your readers would be to create a newsletter where you discuss your writing or discuss your next books in an exclusive setting with your readers. You could also host an event either online or in person, or you could even offer to appear virtually at book club sessions if there are book clubs across the country who decide to choose your book for a specific month. Remember the power of word of mouth. If this small group of readers appreciates your book and your writing, they're likely going to recommend your book to friends. So it does help to engage them and nurture those relationships. My next tip for what to do if your book didn't sell is to write your next book. Even though this book did not sell as much as you intended, that doesn't mean your next book won't be a hit. Remember, there are plenty of authors who don't break out until their third or fourth or even fifth book that they publish. So don't let the sales of this one book discourage you or keep you from writing your next. Because remember that every new story is a new chance to engage readers and a new chance to tell another story that resonates with them. And also remember that if you publish your next book and a new reader finds you and then really likes it, it's likely that they're going to see what other books you wrote, so it can actually enhance the sales of what we call your backlist, which is your previously published books. That's why it is so important to not let this one disappointment get you down. You are still a writer, your writing is still valid, and you still have infinite chances to engage readers. I hope this video helped you feel more optimistic about your writing career and power through some of those disappointments or doubts you might have if your book didn't sell well. Let me know in the comments if you have published a book and what your experiences were with the sales. Did they reach your expectations or was it higher or lower than you expected? I have another video that gets into some hard truths about writing that might be helpful for you. I'm all about giving realistic insights into the book writing and publishing process so that you are educated and ultimately empowered to take control of your writing career. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to grab the free story self-assessment waiting for you in the description below. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.